Hello. We're apparently having an open dev voice chat thing, which at the moment is just me. Not quite sure. Well, that happened because I was the one who organised it and only gave a couple of hours' notice, but that's fine. We've got text and stuff from other people though, which should help give me stuff to talk about for, I don't know, at least a couple of minutes. Let's hope it goes on for at least a couple of minutes. And that text is here. So, yeah. You're on the recording now, everyone who's currently talking in the text. Say hi. I'm Oliveriver, by the way. I don't know whether this is going to be uploaded on my own channel or the Revolutionary Games channel yet. If other devs turn up, I'll probably put it on the proper channel, but if not, it might just be me. So, I'm not entirely sure where to start. If someone could, give a big text rant thing about development or whatever, I could try and respond to all their points and give my own opinion on what they say. If not, I'll just talk about why we're having this in the first place and what's been going on. Because for quite a while now, at least from the outside, development has appeared to stagnate a little. And the reason for this is that the programmers are working on an engine switch that's taking quite a long time. And none of that is really particularly visible to the general public. And even if it was, it wouldn't really... It may not instill that much faith in their ability of this project to move forward, I think. You can see, however, all of the stuff that's been going on if you go to the Thrive GitHub place, repository thing. I'm just finding a link to the right branch now, if I can remember which one it is. There you go, there's the place where things are actually happening. I've also got to remember to not change to any other channels, any other Discord channels, because they'll appear on the screen instead of this. Is the engine switch the only real progress blocker? I don't know. I think if there are others, they're probably either causes or effects of that. Most likely effects. And yeah, most devs aren't active. Well, there's not really much for us to be active on. That's the issue. I mean, unless we're programmers, and most of us aren't, and we've only got about two, and that's hhyyrylainen and Krodnu, we can't really do much that's any help. And if we do try and do stuff, then it will only really appear as if we're generating noise for its own sake, which, I don't know, might not come off the best. I should say, by the way, that I am definitely guilty of not being active enough in development stuff recently, but I can explain that, and I'll explain that later. Oh yeah, good idea. I do have a phone. Multiple methods of checking stuff. Hold on. I'm going to switch back to an image of the disturbance for a minute so I can do stuff on Discord. Ooh. Wait, I think this is the wrong one. Just imagine there's like my music playing or something. Okay, it should be set so that moderators can speak now as well. And I will switch back. There we go, you're back. So yeah, as for why I haven't been helping with development that much, I've been at university, which is an interesting experience to say the least. I expected it to take up more of my time than it did, but it's still taking up quite a bit. This last week I have actually been on holiday or vacation, as Americans would say, but I've kind of been filling it with my own stuff instead of Thrive. You know, I wrote a book, not in the week. You know, I finished writing the book in that week, and then for the last 2 days I've been at a Marvel movie marathon, so I'm a bit tired. So I don't know. I don't. It's just that I used to fill that time when I was doing my own stuff that was still kind of productive and useful with Thrive things, but nowadays I don't really want to. It's like I don't see the point, and that's me speaking very candidly about this. I don't really feel like I want to help with Thrive that much. It just seems really disappointing to look at it and see nothing happening, and I'm sure that's what a lot of you are feeling. Anyone have anything to add or comment on there? What I will say is I have, like, even though I haven't been saying much, I have been checking the Slack group like every day, because I think not to, like, I don't know, tell people off or anything, but there are some developers who don't do that, and I think in order for development to go a lot to speed up, we all need to make ourselves aware of what's going on a lot more, and the best way to do that is just to check the Slack group every day, look at all the channels that have updated, particularly the feeds channel. And obviously for fans this won't mean anything, but the feeds channel contains all the recent posts from the dev forums and subreddit and whatever, and it's just a neat way to keep everything together concisely. And yeah, that's consolidating communication channels. That's what we tried to do, what I tried to do in particular. I don't really know how effective it's been, and I don't really know whether we had a big enough push to say you should be using this for this, or you should be using that. At the same time, I don't know whether that was too much. You know, was that too restrictive? Were people turned off by having to do stuff a certain way? I don't know. I personally think we could be doing things better. I think we've got the stuff in place to do things properly, but people aren't really using them properly, and that's my issue with it. So I guess that's like opening preamble done. If anyone who's just joined wants to type something and express their opinion on development, however scathing that may be, hopefully not too much, be nice. Let us throw money at you. Yeah, well, if you remember, there was that big development forum post thing I did, where I said, what are we going to do now? Let's start accepting money. I think that may have ruffled quite a few feathers there. Honestly, the reason I did it was I just looked at what was happening and I thought, I've seen this before. I've seen this happen to the project before, and thankfully it's gotten out of it, but it's never this bad. And I think the only way to really change anything at this point is to do something drastic. And accepting money is probably about as drastic as we could go. But so yeah, it's justifiable that there's opposition to that change. But I really think that if this situation continues for several other months, I don't know, if we're still stuck in this position in summer, I think we really need to seriously consider it and not shoot it down immediately as been happening before, because all the other suggestions to change things we've either tried or rejected on the grounds that they won't work, and we know they won't work. So unless someone comes up with another suggestion that's going to work, or if we wait however long it takes for the engine to be changed, then I don't really see any other way. think, and it's the money thing, it's not really, oh, we've got money, we can start paying people now, we'll get stuff done. For me, it's more the fact that it might help people who are new to the project, kind of, that it will give them more faith that it will succeed, because right now, we're not only a volunteer game that's taking a long time to develop, we're a volunteer game that's taking a long time to develop and is being done for free. And that last point makes people very shaky about how successful it's going to be. And I think even if we just like said, oh, you can donate to us, which I don't think we'd really want to go anywhere beyond, it might help people think, you know, maybe there is a point to this, and there is faith in this, and I should start helping or spread the word or whatever, because that, and then in future we could gain enough money to actually start paying people. Einstein's definition of insanity. Exactly, you know, we need to change something at some point. Figure out how to fix the engine. Well, that's happening. Unfortunately, very few of us can actually understand what that is and how to do that, and that's why having only 2 programmers is a problem. I'm listening. And that's the aim. That is the aim of what's happening, and you can talk to hhyyrylainen and Krodno about that. Hopefully hhyyrylainen will be here later. The trouble is the conversion from the current one to the new one is the difficult part, the confusing part, because you need to understand how the old one works in order to make a new one. The GitHub Enterprise. Do you just mean like Git? I'm not sure what that is. Unless you're just referring to GitHub. I mean, I don't think our repository size is a drawback at all. I've definitely seen much larger. So I don't think we need any like paid subscription to GitHub. How many programmers are here? Well, we've got hhyyrylainen and Krodno being the main ones. And as far as people who actively contribute to development goes, that's it. You know, we can't. People are suggesting we should work on other stuff while the engine is being done. We can't, because there aren't enough people to do that. Because they're all working on the engine switch, because we want that done as soon as possible, as you're saying. If the engine is very, very simple, doesn't limit its abilities. Simple is not necessarily the same as straightforward. By simple here, we're saying that it's easy to understand if you're a programmer. And there are plenty of game engines that are that. Our current one is not. And we've seen that several times by programmers coming along and saying, you know, your engine's terrible, change it. So that's why we're changing it. And we're hoping for something that people can understand. Well, 3D models, you can keep posting them on the dev forum if you want. That would help. At least keep some activity up. And documentation, it's hhyyrylainen's own engine that he's making that's got his pre-existing documentation, I think, to some extent. But yeah, we definitely need documentation, and I have said that before. I can't really say much about the paid subscription to GitHub thing because I don't know how much of a bottleneck using an SVN is for us. Unless you've spoken to the programmers, that I can't really say anything about that. Is it necessary to engine switch everything? I mean, it's what the entire game is based on, so if you switch the engine, you have to change everything else on top. And by change everything else on top, I mean you have to adapt it to what fits the thing. Clearly, there are some scripts that if you've got other scripts around it in place, it should work fine. You know, I think if we get something that reads Lua files correctly, we shouldn't need to change any of the Lua files for this engine switch, and that's a good thing because obviously it's less work. But everything has got to work in the same engine. You know, you can't just like change half of it because that's not even going to make half the game. It's got to work together properly. I think I missed a couple of comments or questions a while ago, so I'll go for once the game updates, would you consider an advertising team? I mean, we've got an outreach team. Advertising might be a little. I don't know. I would hesitate before calling it advertising, because advertising an incomplete free open source game gets difficult fast because people expect things of it, or rather they expect bad things from it being an open source free game and stuff, and seeing it being advertised like even like semi-professionally, they'd be like, oh well, you've got nothing to show for it, you're clearly just creating hot air. So documentation. Well, yeah, people are working on the documentation. They're working on the engine. That's what's happening. You know, it's just taking a while because there are only 2 people, and we can't get more because they'd have to understand the engine, and that would take the effort of the 2 people who have to work on the engine. Documentation first. Are you talking about documentation of the engine itself or documentation of the game? Documentation of the engine. Well, as I said, I think there is some. You know, I think there is some, according to hhyyrylainen. I may be wrong, but when he arrives, if he arrives, we can ask him about that. Kind of, yeah. Kind of. Unless we're looking at it in completely the wrong way, and we don't actually understand what's going on. I can't remember how much progress he said was done. I scrolled through the conversations you guys had yesterday and saw something somewhere, but I can't remember. No conversion until documentation. Well, I can't answer any programming specific questions like documentation because I'm not a programmer, which is quite a problem for this project. But if any turn up, so I'm hoping they can, and I'm hoping there's answers to your questions about documentation. But honestly, I don't. right? That has to be done. Sure, okay, we've refocused programming people on that. That's still going to take a while, and the engine is still going to take a while to build. What do we do in that time? What do we do if that takes another year? I agree, documentation is something that's been sourly missing from the existing engine. And, you're justified to be annoyed that there isn't some for this new one. But I think it's a lot to expect of, one person, basically. Because, even though Crodney's working on it, it's obvious that hhyyrylainen is the one that actually understands what's going on. No offense to Crodny. he's a very decent programmer, but it's hhyyrylainen's engine. Well, yeah, we've had that issue a lot with new programmers coming along, and we have to get them up to speed with the same things, but in slightly different ways that don't always work in the same way. Because they come across new bugs every time, or they're doing something slightly differently, and it's always a problem. And I've always said that documentation would be helpful, and even having programmers work as people helping programmers who sort out. Your passive aggressiveness isn't helping here, We are expecting a lot of the programmers, and it's perhaps a bit hypocritical of me to try and understand what's going on and try to fix it myself when I don't really. I'm not the one making the progress. After the engine switch, what would be the biggest focus? Gameplay, combat stuff, probably. Because we have a game, it's, being honest, not particularly fun right now. You want to make people enjoy the game and come back to it and think there's potential in it, which gameplay and stuff can make it better. How can non-programmers like me help? I don't know. That's what we're trying to answer here. Because if you're narratized as an artist, you can create concepts for loads of stuff, and I guess that does no harm, but it's not. Is it going to help? I don't know. Will it make people think that there's progress going on and improve their faith in the project? I think so. That's probably the good thing about it. Draw the game into existence. That's the problem, because creating concepts is a lot of what happened in the first few years of the game's development. There was a worse time than this. For, I don't know, maybe 3 years, there wasn't even a programmer here at the start. And it was all concepts, and yet there was more activity and people had far more faith in stuff because somehow it ended up with a programmer joining and stuff happening. So maybe we do just need to create more concepts, even though we've been assuming they won't help, or they'll just create extra pressure on the programmers or something. Exactly, just doing anything. And I've been trying to tell people to do anything for quite some time, but yeah. More stuff like concepts. Well, okay. There's the main concept we've got for the microbe stage is the game design document, which I spent my entire summer writing once. And we posted about that everywhere and made a huge hurrah about it because it was quite a big thing. You know, we've got some formalised set of things in place for how the game is going to work. And yet I still regularly see developers who have no idea it exists. So I don't know, is that a fault on our end for not telling them to read it immediately, or is that a fault on their end for not actually doing it? And if we were to tell them to read it immediately, would that be like expecting too much of them? Would that be, it's a voluntary open source project, people are supposed to contribute what they want. Is reading an entire massive document about how the game works going to be too much work to expect of them? Well, yeah, we're hoping for mods eventually, and there are mods in existence, and you can change certain things about the gameplay, like you can change values for vacuoles and whatever, but obviously I agree those aren't particularly gameplay changing. But, existing plans should be made clear to potential new... Well, I mean, we do have, like, there's another thing I spent ages writing, I'll find it, which is a page on new member guidance somewhere. That thing. And that includes like links to the GDD and telling people, hey, go and read it, go and understand what we're going to do. At least I think it does, maybe I'm remembering wrong. Hold on, this isn't what I remember. Is the GDD there? The GDD isn't on this page. Okay. It is on the wiki and in quite an important place, so anyone who comes across the wiki will see it. Which is still probably made more obvious. Yeah, I mean the trouble with the GDD is that it's subject to change quite a bit, depending on how easy something is to make or whether it actually works when it's in a game, because all the concepts that are in there at the moment we're just assuming they'll work. So to some extent it may be slightly pointless asking people to read it over and over again, and it is a bit woolly around the edges, especially since some of the concepts have moved on but the GDD hasn't been updated. And I guess that's partly my fault for not doing it, but then I haven't been around as much as I would have wanted to, and I haven't had the motivation to do it. Maybe the GDD... Well, when you say roadmap, is that going to be like, we do this bit of development, and then we do that, and then we do this, and then we do that? Because if it is, I mean, we could make one, but the issue there is that people just come along and add whatever to the game they want, which, I don't know, well, not whatever they want, but whatever their skill set allows for, and whatever they can do at the time. Because adding a roadmap would kind of like make things I don't know, like, if given our current development approach, where people are just free to do whatever they want, providing it kind of contributes to the overall game vision we have, it doesn't really work. You know, if there's a thread on the forums where I put, like, I have actually made a roadmap on the forums somewhere with, like, what we're doing for this release and what we're doing for that release in a kind of broken down, segmented order where each step is small enough that it's doable in one go, but big enough that it adds something to the game. And I keep having to, like, delete everything and rewrite it because people have done different things. More direction, maybe deadlines. That has been suggested before, and the consensus there, or at least I don't know whether to say consensus, because I don't know whether most of us agreed on it or whether it was just like the final word on it and we just couldn't argue with it, was that deadlines would go against the voluntary open source passion project nature of the project that we're trying to have. And I personally don't know whether that's the right approach anymore. I think that doing that might be hindering more than it's helping now. But I don't know. Do other developers think the same way, if there are even any developers to think? And yeah, it is hard to put deadlines with so few devs who have so much else in their lives, because there's a thing called the bus factor, which we've discussed on a podcast before. If a member of our development team who's particularly important and helpful is hit by a bus, what happens then? You know, and that's a rather morbid way of putting it, but it's just like people have lives to get on with, and unexpected things can happen in their lives. It could be made. Well, yeah, it could be made so that it just covers the expected and basic parts. But the expected and basic parts are all relatively big and complicated now. You know, the main parts we have to add are combat and evolution and, upgrades, organelle upgrades, which someone suggested earlier. And if someone has the skill to do that and understands the concepts that are put in place for it, then it would be excellent to have a deadline for them and say, do this before then. So, but that's maybe not realistically going to happen unless we find several ultra amazing programmers who want to put their faith in a game that's free and open source and hasn't had a release in 7 months. And yeah, missing deadlines does create problems. It creates it kind of creates the same problem we have now, though, in that people are just becoming more and more disillusioned with how things are going. Hey, hhyyrylainen. We had mentions of the engine earlier, and there are some questions which you'd probably be far more qualified to answer than me. Mostly about documentation, and mostly from Darwin, and mostly in an annoyed tone. So, are you able to speak, or do you think you'll just be here with text? Or can you even hear me? I don't know whether you've connected properly. I know. It's the old internet problem.
I can hear you.
Oh, I heard someone there.
Is my mic working?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I missed the earlier questions.
Well, the main thing that came out of it was about documentation and whether we should make documentation for the engine before we convert everything to it. Do you think that's possible, or has that already been done to an extent, or what's the situation with that?
Well, there's some basic documentation how different parts work, but like no tutorials or like things that cover many things. The problem with that is that either me or Rodnum would have to like write the tutorials, but we are both working on getting the engine switch working. So that would make it be longer until we can actually start working on new stuff.
I guess the question we have to ask is, what is it worth it to delay things even further to get an engine that works with documentation so more people can get involved later on? Or do we get the engine written first and get that finished and then write the documentation? Because how long do you think it would take to write the documentation?
I'm not sure like how much should it cover. Like some basic stuff is probably pretty easy to do, but like if there's people who need to like have a lot of guidance before they can do stuff, like that's quite a big problem, as like I'd like to work on new stuff instead of like having to use all my time to tell people that go there, change that, and then the feature that they tried to make will work, instead of working on things myself.
But do you think that would be more useful?
In the long run, probably, but I think we need to focus on getting something like a new release.
Okay. So there's your answer, Darwin. Were there any other questions earlier on that you could have answered? I don't think so. I think it was mainly that about the engine, other than just like questions about how long the engine switch could take and whatever, and problems with lack of people to do the programming. Well, the best way to keep people engaged is to have stuff constantly happening that's worthwhile stuff. And again, it's a catch-22 where we don't have enough people to make stuff to keep that going. Unless all these people who feel useless because programming is stalled and they're developers who aren't programming, like, actually start doing stuff and posting it on the forums, even if it can't be used anytime soon, even if it might be piling too much on the shoulders of the programmers. Maybe that's what we need to do. The difficulty with podcasts is we need to find a time when everyone's available. We need to have topics to talk about that aren't just going over the same stuff over and over again, which I guess this is kind of to an extent, because we've had discussions about it several times before. Update videos, well, we've had the idea to do videos outlining specific concepts for a while, but the people who know most about those concepts don't have the time to do it. For instance, I'm quite excited by the idea of a video going over how the CPA system works, and Serrigan said he might be able to do that, but so far he hasn't found the time. organised times of voice chat. We tried that this time last year, I think, or maybe just a bit before, and it ended up being literally just me and Saragon every time. So there's people have lives to attend to. Keep a steady update pace and report on progress. But that's what we were trying to do for quite a while. And then I left for university and Nick disappeared for a bit for his own reasons. And there wasn't really anyone to do that. I mean, a voice chat with the community could work, but I don't really see how that's going to like make anyone feel things are happening, as opposed to just a normal voice chat. You see, it's like this. It's exactly like this, basically, and exactly like the real podcast we've done, where people have been using the YouTube live chat type. And yeah, the community is important to engage because the developers come from the community. It's all one big pile in a way. And there are things like the community art contests or the forum games and stuff to keep people engaged and in the community. And I tried to suggest we have, and we came to a conclusion last time that it would be good to have like threads started on the forums discussing interesting topics. And I did that and no one replied. I did that again and no one replied. So I thought, well, this isn't working. Shouldn't do it. Sorry, I've been talking a lot. Is there anything you want to say, hhyyrylainen? I mean, we'd all love a Reddit explosion 2.0. And we actually kind of had one when we were subreddit of the day for some reason. But nobody really did anything from that. We didn't get any new developers from that. We got maybe a couple of new fans who subscribed to the subreddit and did nothing else. And we were all a bit disappointed with it, really. Spore Wiki, funnily enough, there is a page on the Spore Wiki with Spore-like games on it with Thrive somewhere near the top, and it's basically the place we've got the most traffic from in the past couple of years, apart from like our subreddit. And it wasn't actually one of the developers who put that there. So what that says about our approach to outreach, I don't know. Probably not much good. And yeah, we tried promoting on Reddit. We tried it several times. And fortunately, there are quite a few rules about self-promotion in some places where it seems to be either you've got a lot of people in a place or restrictive, well, a lot of people in a place and restrictive rules about self-promotion, or a place that's dedicated to self-promotion but nobody's there. Because everybody wants to promote their own stuff. Nobody wants to actually read what other people's things are. Our Game Dev Task, yes, we tried it a couple of times. We posted to there like, I don't know, maybe 5 times now. Maybe that's a bit much. But we just came to the conclusion that if we're constantly posting there like every week about stuff or however long, the rules allow you to, then we're just like, again, it comes back to the problem of we're advertising vaporware. I was about to say vaporware. And it's like, well, we can only really promote ourselves properly if there's activity going on that we have to show. If not, then we're just like telling people, hey, come and look at this thing that doesn't exist. And maybe there are some people who would see that and want to help, you know. For several years, several people did come along and saw things were moving slowly and wanted to help. But it's far more likely for an individual to think, no, they're idiots, and be turned off the project completely. And we've seen that happen a couple of times when people have promoted us or we've promoted ourselves, you know. People replying saying, this is a stupid idea, I have no faith in it, and that's it. You know, as soon as people see that as a reply to it, they'll be turned off anyway. If we hide how long we've been struggling, yeah, I mean, we could lie. We could outright lie and say, hey, we actually started development this year, except we've got all the evidence to show for it. And this is particularly aimed at Narratizer. Sorry about this, but you have in particularly like public or developer-heavy places said things like, oh, the game is dead. The game is dead, over and over again. And I've done the same in some places, but I've said the game is dead and suggested ways to fix it. It's just that nobody's really responded to me very well. And telling people the game is dead is not going to help, especially when it comes from someone who is the owner of the Discord server and one of the most active developers I guess we have. And I'm being a bit of a hypocrite there because, as I said, I've said the same thing. But I've tried to figure out ways to get around that, to solve that issue, and try to generate discussion that would actually help. And it always seems to end the same way. But this is why I'm doing this now, you know. I could just say... I could say, you know, well, it's all going wrong. Let's just give up. I could keep going around saying, let's stop this. But no, I think we need to talk about this and find a way to figure things out, even though very few of us actually have the time to do it. Because for me in particular, after Sunday, like after tomorrow, I will have very little time again. I'm free basically this weekend and that's it. I will have small amounts of time, like every day, where I will keep checking the Slack and the Discord and whatever, but I can't do anything big like learn programming, even though I am technically learning programming for my maths degree, although that's MATLAB and completely useless to us. So unless you want a game programmed in MATLAB, I don't think I'm much use. Anyone else have anything they want to discuss? Any suggestions? Any thoughts? I mean, organelle upgrades, they're a fair idea. I think TGOL has been pushing a lot for adding combat to the game, and I think I agree. Because adding proper combat mechanics will make it a lot more fun and closer to the vision that we've had. Better express kind of the ideals of Thrive and what we want from it. And if we can add, I guess we could add organelle upgrading. That's fine. If we do that first, nobody's going to complain. It just depends on who wants to do what they can do who's around, how many people there are to do it. By them, who do you mean them? What, so you're saying we should tell them what to do, what to work on?
Right now only me and Rodnu are the ones working on the game. No one else has done really anything that like implements anything new. Okay, there was Zayat, but like he's also been busy and we couldn't make a release that had all the new things he did. He can't really do anything without more programmers.
And I mean, we have like pushed people in certain directions when they joined. We tell them, hey, this is what's going on. You can work on that. It's the reason we still use the archaic practice of introductory threads on the development forums. But I don't know, I guess that's kind of what we are doing, but no. The only thing we could do more, I don't know. I don't know. Well, we have the GitHub issues and everything, which any programmer will know other things that are meant to be worked on at any particular time. And yeah, manpower is our problem. What's the solution? Advertise more. Well, the problem with that is we have very little game to advertise, or at least I don't think the problem is we have very little. I think the problem is we're still stagnating too much. And then it's just a circle. It's a catch-22.
We need a new release and then push really hard for new people to join the team.
Yep. And we can't really make a new release until we finish the engine. If Narratizer were to make some sort of outreach advertising video. Yeah, because somehow Narratizer has accrued 10,000 subscribers. I mean, you could follow the style of the trailers we've already got, but most of those are to do with specific releases and therefore cover the they cover the features of that release, what we're planning to do in the future. I guess the closest thing we have is like the first video we uploaded to the Revolutionary Games channel, which was like, I think it was the 0.2.4 trailer, and that had a lot of like visual oohs and ahs to make people think, oh, it's exciting, it's going to be amazing. Trouble is, I don't know, could we reuse them? Do you want to reuse them, Narratizer? That could work. Maybe. Well, the game is still crashing because the engine is terrible. And that's why we're making a new one. So hopefully if we finish the engine, then we can release, then that will get people more hyped up, then we can do advertising and outreach, then we'll get more people who can understand the engine better and everything will go quicker. Maybe we're all just creating a massive load of hot air about nothing, waiting for the engine to be updated. Well, I've spoken to like the few remaining people who were there when Ogre was decided upon, and I think at the time it was just the best option, and since then there have been better options available, but switching has become, it's taken more effort than actually adding stuff to it. Well, I don't know, tell me if I'm correct in a minute, but I think hhyyrylainen and Crotty are mostly working on the engine change because they're invested in the game already.
Yeah, it's probably impossible to get new people in to fix all the old stuff to work with the new engine.
Although that has happened before. After the Reddit boom, I don't think it would have had anywhere near as much effect as it did unless we without Nimble, who was a programmer that appeared there and looked at what was happening and said, right, we need to change this, we need to do things properly. And he took charge of the programming side of things. He wrote a new game design document. He overhauled the engine quite a bit. He added more and more releases. Most of the releases from, I can't remember, was it 0.2.1 to 0.2.4? Most of those were all him. So those people do exist. And maybe if we just advertise that crazy, we'll come across some, but at the same time we could risk ruining our name to a whole bunch of other people. And where'd he go? Well, he just left one day, and I got in contact with him a while ago and asked him whether he wanted to come back. He said yes, and he had some more things to do on the engine, and then he never turned up again. So I contacted him again and he didn't reply. So... yeah, and that's why we've tried having big outreach efforts in the past, things like subreddit of the day stuff, hoping that now we're more prepared. And I completely agree with you. We weren't... Well, I can't really say I was part of them there because I joined the team 2 months earlier and wasn't really doing much. But we weren't prepared at that time. And if we had been more prepared, it would have gone better. We would have retained more people. I think the biggest issue at that point was our web presence, because the only website we had was the forum, and it didn't look very good, and it wasn't very professional. And yet, after that, we decided, well, let's make a website, let's make several forums, do more community stuff, more outreach, more social media, and it all helped. And I think if we were to have something like that now, we'd be a hell of a lot more prepared. The only issue is people would, I don't know, maybe more people would think that we're not going anywhere. And I think I did have a quick look at ClickTeam when you suggested it before. And I don't know, I'm not a programmer myself, but in all honesty, I agree with MindGamer, or is it that dude? Whoever that dude is. Well, if everyone thinks that, what would they think to a game trying to be built in it, It's like people who come along and get angry we're using Lurebind, which I've seen a couple of times. I don't even know what Lurebind is, but people are apparently angry that we're using it. can't tell if you're being serious. Hold on, I'll look at the website again. I mean, it looks mostly aimed at simple games, simple or 2D games. So, considering the things they're promoting themselves with, I think that's not a good sign for something that wants to be a serious game. Yeah, sure, you know what its limits are, but surely the developers do as well, and yet they've chosen to promote it as a simplistic game engine. If they were really serious about showing that it could do the things you claim, then they'd put in the really impressive stuff it could do in trailers. It's why we, even though, I don't know, it's like with our trailers we kind of do the same thing. we put the in the 0.2.4 trailer, the one ages ago, we included footage that wasn't even from the game, it was from concept art, because that was more impressive than the game. You don't put something in a trailer that's less impressive than what you can do. Well, no offence, but marketing to people who don't know how to program but want to make a game, if someone said, hey, I want to make a game with that, you'd think, oh yeah, they're relatively amateur. And that's not good for us if we were to do that. And why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they changing it? Was there ever any microbe stage concept art? Quite a bit. I will find it somewhere, I hope, if I can navigate around the website I built, which is harder than you might think. I mean, we got stuff like that, which isn't showing up as an image, of course. And was that? No, that wasn't a piece of concept art. We had Cycont made this for the editor back in the day, and that was basically the first piece of concept art we had for the editor, beyond make it like spores. I made this one. So we do have concept art, we kind of know what's going to happen, and there have been discussions on improving the visuals. But again, we don't have the manpower. And the manpower that we do have is focusing on other things for the time being. I guess if people, all the artists and people who feel like they should be doing stuff, they can go ahead and make more concepts if you want. That might help. Just draw microbes over and over again. I don't know. We've just been assuming that wouldn't help. Maybe it does.
People could try to remake the user interface to look more sleek. Someone said that the green theme, that's not like flat modern look, looks kinda bad to him.
Well, we had that. We had people insulting the GUI quite a bit, and then I changed it because I got so angry at people insulting it and angry at myself for having made it in the first place. So I did that. I changed it all, hoping that people would still be around to change it in the future, and nobody else has done that, because apparently nobody else has the bevel tool in their graphics engines. Narratizer.
Also, someone could help a robot in progress to make the Pilus model which we will need to make the combat enjoyable. So that it would be ready once the engine change is ready.
Well, okay, you made all of that stuff. Was it posted on the development forums? I feel like it was. So that's there, thank you very much for that, but like, we can't put it in the game right now. And to some extent telling people to work on that's the problem we've had with telling people to work on concepts. We can't put it in the game and won't be able to for a while. And the question we're now apparently attempting to answer is it still worth asking people to work on concepts? Should we do that? Is that what we're missing? Is that what we've stopped doing? Well, it depends on what you're making concepts of and mock-ups of. If you're making concepts of the GUI, that could still be very useful. Because if you look at back at the GUI thread on the forum I made, it started out with me just making very simple concepts like positioning stuff. I'll try and find the very first image I made of it. It's literally black boxes on a white background. And people were telling me they didn't like the look of it, but I said no, stick with it. It will be fine in the end, because I knew what I was doing. I knew that the concepts were only supposed to be for position. And then eventually I filled in everything, and it was fine. You know, there you go. That's a load of black and white boxes. And yet, when you're looking at that, you'll see how it relates directly to what we've got. So if you're able to do something like that, and then slowly move stuff around and improve it until you get something that people think is good and you think it's good, then concept art can be very, very useful. And that's how people in the actual games industry do create concept art. They start with something and they refine it with input from the developers until it works. And the actual putting it in the game bit, I mean, I learned the programming necessary to do that, and I'm not very good at programming, so it's possible. And I mean, if people want to do amazing concept art for what the microbe stage will eventually look like, I'm sure no one will stop them. We may not be running around telling people that's what we want them to do. But if we find any, we'll post it all over our social media and tell people, hey, the game is still going. Because that's what most games stuck in development hell do. If anyone saw that Evolution game that's being made by a Spanish YouTuber, he made loads of trailers and loads of concept art for it that looked very pretty, but anyone with game making experience knew that it was mostly stock assets. And he didn't show any of the UI or any of the actual functionality, he just showed pretty scenes with things moving around in them. And that's been going on a year and there's nothing to show for it.
What are we talking about?
Currently talking about whether it's worth people creating concept art and stuff, even if we can't put it in the game yet.
Ah. Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on that? This is
we've
Atrox,
been
by the way, for people listening.
Sup, everyone? I'm Atrox. My voice is... We've been making concept art for years. So, I mean, like you said, people... it's pretty apparent by this... Wait, were you just talking about, What were you saying just now? Because I came in as you were finishing up.
What I was literally just talking about was that game Evolution, the one being made by a Spanish YouTuber, whose the Steam page for it has got loads of concept art on it, but it's clear that not much is actually happening.
Mm-hmm. Concept art's always good, I guess, because, I mean, we're still really early on in the project, and it's always good to, it's a good way to gauge what the players want and also what the developers are expecting from the game in the end. But because a lot of concept art also comes from our fans, it's good and all. It's just I don't know. Some people sometimes it goes far, and then people start thinking that a lot of the concept art is fact per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
And then a lot of confusion comes up, and then people are like, wait, what? You guys aren't that far in the game? And it's good, and it's also bad. I feel like it could lead to a lot of people being disillusioned with the project when they finally discover it.
But is it going to be if we started telling people to make concept art, as the programmers are working on the engine switch, we tell people, draw stuff, make GUI designs, to do all that jazz. Is that going to be better than what we have now? To be honest, I think it is. I think just to get sub-activity going, it's worth telling people just to do this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with that, yeah. Generate some hype, even if it's a little bit. What if we did a competition type thing for the GUI, whatever you were just talking about?
Well,
or are we just brainstorming right now, just thinking?
Well, we're thinking and hopefully finding some conclusion. Get a competition for the GUI. I mean, would that
GUI really? You mentioned the GUI, so I just banked off of that. But does the GUI really need any work right now?
Well, apparently it does, according to some people here.
Oh, really? Who?
Whoever it was that said that.
Oh, I'm in the wrong channel.
Yeah, we're in a open dev chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't find it, but I don't know. Apparently, even after my massive redesign, people are still not happy.
Can't please everybody.
No, I mean, I know it's not good. Well, it's not as.
I thought it was pretty good.
It's not as good as it could be. I know that, but I am not an artist really, and I am not a programmer. someone who is an artist and a programmer could make a much better GUI than that, and yet we haven't had one who's come along for long enough to actually do that. Don't tell me you're like the odd one now. That's not helpful. I personally think it looks quite good. It's.
I thought it was for the last one personally. So.
But that's
just my 2 cents.
Most of the best of the design comes with functionality. That's the issue. I went about as far as I can go without programming anything too complicated. And if we wanted to add anything more, we would need a lot more programming behind it rather than just graphics. Hold on, I honestly can't remember where those two bars are positioned these days. I will go and find our latest trailer and remind myself. But yeah, I don't know, that's one example of something that people can improve, that could be improved. And I mean...
Question, you guys don't hear anything in the background on my end, do you?
Nothing particularly loud. I mean, there's like a slight noise, but that's just background stuff, it's fine.
Okay. Keyboard doesn't matter.
So the ATP bar is currently not even there. It's just a number. And the reason we have that number is because we're intending, if you look at my original designs for the GUI, when people expand the compound panel, they'll be able to like tick which compounds they want to have available to them in the bottom bar. So if you like put a thing in a checkbox, you'll have that compound at the bottom always there. So that's something in place for the future. And again, that seems to be another problem we have with a lot of things. We've got a lot of things in place for the future that don't really give us much benefit now, and a lot of things that are done for the moment that are going to be completely rewritten in the future. So I think we basically come to the conclusion that people should make concepts. And I mean, if that's something we can try from now on, that would be very useful. You know, as something to do. Make concepts and post them on the development forums. For God's sakes, post them on the development forums. Talk about them on the development forums. Because that's somewhere public that people can look and see and say, oh, there are things happening. Instead of here on the Discord, where a certain subset of our fans see everything happening and see a lot of things, but most of them see nothing. And any newcomers will see nothing.
Is there any kind of specific concept art that you're wanting? Or just...
Stuff for the microbe stage, definitely. I mean, GUI, designs of microbes, organelles, backgrounds, general objects floating in the sea, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, basically all of microbe stage. And what is the way Mindgamer does them? Could you post an image if you've got one?
Yeah, he does all this stuff in like Blender, so He makes a more rendered. He all of his concept art looks like a more rendered, has a more rendered look to it. There we go.
Okay. I mean, that looks very cool. And if we can do that, then yeah, I'm all for it. But unfortunately, I don't have any idea how you would do that in the current system we use. Maybe you can, but I can't.
MindGamer, show him the 3D one, the 3D cell editor.
And can I ask whether you posted this anywhere?
Oh, he's posted them all around the Discord.
Discord again.
Yeah, so no more posting stuff on Discord, guys.
Well,
we're shutting it down.
Post
We're
stuff,
shutting it down.
Post stuff on Discord, but post it everywhere else as well,
We're
particularly
not actually shutting down the Discord.
It was posted up last night when we were having the conversation.
There he is.
Hi, it's me.
It's him.
It's that prick.
It's hello. I don't believe
Hi,
we've met
it's
very
nice-
much.
No, we haven't. It's nice to meet you.
Oliver, that's Robot. Robot, that's Oliver.
Hiya.
Hi.
Hello.
So yeah, I am like kind of eating dinner at the same time.
As long as you chew with your mouth closed.
Yep. Don't worry. I'm not some kind of cretin.
Sorry, what?
Oh god. It's chaos.
Hey, it's the old timer.
I think I've still been around longer than you.
Yeah, well, we're both old fogies at this point.
We're all equally aged.
Yes.
You see, people.
Right. Hey, I remember Viking cheese.
So do I. I was there when he joined.
I know. I saw that. I was just a lurker for the longest time.
See, the problem we have now is that when this is recorded and uploaded and stuff, people won't be able to tell who's talking. And you were making so many weird voices there, I think people would have assumed there were more people than there were.
Oh,
So-
most of it has
I
just
have
been
an idea to rectify
concepts, fan art stuff that I've seen. I haven't seen.
That's what we've been talking about recently. We've come to the conclusion that people should make more concepts if they're stuck with things to do. Before
Yeah.
that, we were talking about the engine and promotion, usual sorts of stuff.
Right. Has anybody been making the notes?
No.
Or do we have? No, right. Okay.
Well, we've been recording it. Does that count?
It's been
that
recorded.
does help. That does help. It does mean I can come back to this later.
It's being recorded and it will be uploaded somewhere. I think given that we've got a couple more people than just me here now, it's
Upload
good.
it to Discord.
Discord? No, it's going to be uploaded to the main Revolutionary Games YouTube channel. So
Okay, that's good.
I suppose so.
also
I
I
have
am,
it unlisted, but whatever.
I am just going to cover the chat with a picture of the disturbance in the recording for a moment because I need to check what's happened in the other channels in case there's something
Aye.
going on there.
I will mute myself as I continue to eat.
Just
Okay. And you're all back. Say hi. Cover the chat with a vaporwave disturbance. I could. Me making the image might cover the screen or something. I don't know. This is my first time using OBS. It's quite good, but I feel I may do something wrong.
I know the feeling.
I have to check back every so often and make sure. Yep, I am still recording. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Progress, development, stuff. How do we make it? Since there
boy,
are more,
that's a question.
since there are more people around to discuss it now.
What were we talking about yesterday? Person that's eating dinner?
What were we discussing about? Let's see. I gave the notes, didn't I? Yeah, we were discussing ways to make the game, like the cell stage, fun, or more fun. Getting more programmers or helping the programmers out. and general organisation and coordination.
Okay. The trouble is we need to talk about the specifics of those things. It's like
They are there.
Yep.
Like some solutions. There was a small amount of time spent on funding, but most of it was just trying to, like, it mainly came down to programmers. Everything seemed to come down to the programmers in the end of things. Like, we need more programmers was one of the suggestions, as well as generally trying to sorry try to get more programmers, trying to get whoever is on outreach to kind of do their thing and get us out there, because currently from who I was discussing stuff with yesterday, it seemed like we all just happened to come across this.
Well, that's what outreach does. It makes it more likely that people just happen to come across this.
Yes, but like make it happen more. I don't know how.
It's easier said than done.
Yes, it is. It is easier said than done.
I mean, since you're relatively new, are you aware of the Reddit boom we had a couple of years ago?
No, there is a lot I still do not know.
In 2013, I think it was March 2013, someone posted about us on Reddit, and it got loads and loads of upvotes, was on the front page and everything.
Yeah.
And there were in fact 2 separate posts, although one of them has since disappeared and I can't find it.
Where did they post it exactly?
One of them was in, I think it was like a reply. No, actually, I remember it now. The first one was in gaming, and it was someone posting about the lost potential of Spore, and it was like an image screen grab from somewhere else, some forum or something.
Yeah.
And the top comment was someone saying, "Hey, if you're disappointed with Spore, check out Thrive." And someone saw that. And then went to Today I Learned and made a post saying, "Today I learned there is a group of people working on a Thrive updated version thing."
Nice.
Have we ever tried artificially recreating that?
That's hard. I think
especially considering like that was what year was that?
2013.
Yeah, exactly. That's like what, 5 years later. How many people have just joined the internet
I'm
that
kind of thinking
don't know about Thrive?
I'm thinking in relation to that, if people know of Thrive, like from that, and then we try and do something similar, like how many? Well, it's not.
Yeah, that's another issue.
We try to do. People will look at what has been done in that time, and people may be put off by that.
I mean, a lot has been done in that time. I will say it mostly happened in the first couple of years after that, but there has been a lot that's happened. You know, before that we didn't even have a game. It was all just concepts.
Right.
And considering we've gone through, about at least 10 versions since, that's quite a lot.
I don't really know what to add to that.
No. I mean, the outreach question is always an issue because, as I said earlier, we're advertising vaporware. As I almost said earlier, we're advertising vaporwave.
I don't know if outreach will really work anymore, unless we actually do have something new. Because I feel like a big part of that Reddit boom might have been maybe from what was the Spore community.
Well, there is still a large group of people on the internet who know about Spore and are disappointed by Spore who aren't.
That's true, but
in
how
the
many of
Spore
them,
community.
That's true, but how many of them care that much?
Probably quite a lot. I bet you most of the people upvoting that original post weren't part of what you would call the Spore community, but still felt.
In relation to that, there was some discussion on whether people would be interested in the the cellular stage that we're at, or whether people who played Spore or want to have that similar, like the creature experience, because that's kind of what pulled me in to this. Like, I'd love to work on this, on the creature stuff, and then it's like, okay, we're working on stealth stuff instead, and I'm like, right.
Well, I think I've told you this before, but I was told someone before. I can't remember if it was with you. Sorry.
Nah.
The cell stage is much simpler, but
Yes.
shares a lot of common ideas. You know, you've still got NPCs evolving alongside you. You've still got to collect nutrients and process them in some realistic way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We also discussed in relation to the cell stage, it's with it not feeling as fun as it could be. There was mention of more interaction or engaging with the environment, because at the moment it's a lot of just roaming around kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that bugs me about the cell stage that just really hampers the gameplay for me is just, and I know this is meant to be like somewhat realistic, but it's how unresponsive the cell is whenever you're trying to turn. That just really sucks out a lot of the fun for me.
For me,
I'm not sure how anyone else feels about that, but that's how I feel.
my issue is that you're on a timer. Like, you I don't know how to describe it. It feels like you're on timer because of like all of these things you need to have, and unless you get them, then you're dead.
I mean,
Which I understand from the simulation and like the realism point.
but we
It's
need
just-
those in to give it some sense of purpose, because otherwise you could
Yes.
just float along and do nothing, and it feels all a bit useless. And to an extent, we're hoping that multiple different playstyles will be possible in future. Like if
Yes.
you prefer to just float along and not do much and have it relatively relaxed, you could be like a massive photosynthesizing cell that's got defenses against
Yeah.
predators. If you
How
want
does that? I never understood how that would be particularly fun per se. Like, you know what I mean? You're floating around, doing nothing.
well,
So
I mean, it's hopefully it would be doing nothing. You'd still have some ability to move if you added the right organelles and stuff. But it would have a slower pace, is what I'm trying to say. We could cater to different paces of play style. So at the other extreme, you could be like a really small, fast predator, or as a predator in the cell sense, that goes around trying to stab stuff all the time and maybe dies a lot. But if it's got a large population and if it's reproducing really quickly, then there'll be loads of other individuals in its population that you can switch to quite quickly. So I guess it could be like a bit like Super Meat Boy in that sense. You know, you're running along, you get killed, but then you can do the whole thing again. And maybe one of these times you'll actually do something successful. And it's all very quick, fast paced. Yeah. So hopefully we can cater to both. Is my point.
Right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I mean, all our talk about adding stuff to the game is valid and all, but it is slightly moot in view of like we have to finish the engine first.
Yes, and we've already, in discussing that the other day, it could take quite a few months. So it is, at the moment, it's about producing the assets in preparation for it. Like, so it's ready. Or at least that's ideally.
And yeah, that's why we were discussing earlier about, you know, creating concepts for stuff. Maybe we should switch focus to doing that again.
Concepts and 3D models. Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily even visual concepts, like mechanical concepts. It's what I did with the...
Well, design stuff. Oh,
What was that?
Oh, did you guys hear that? I'm sorry. I was moving
Yeah.
the computer just a little bit. My bad.
whoops it is.
I thought the sky was falling down.
Design concepts are quite... They're necessary.
I mean,
to make the game function and appeal to people, you do need some design concepts beyond.
I mean, you are aware of the GDD, right?
GDD. Off the top of my head, no, I don't know.
This is the problem we have, because developers don't know that this exists.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's...
Put it in really big letters somewhere. Just, one of the first things.
Oh,
I
right,
would
yeah.
type it in capitals, but it's already in capitals. It's GDD.
What if
Right.
we raise the font up to 72?
Can't do that on Discord.
Oh, darn.
But it has... See, most... it was originally just a massive document with everything in.
Yeah.
Then it split up into several pages with different things in. And then Nick gave it an overhaul to change the first half of the front page into all the stuff that's in the game already, as basic as you can or stuff. So most of the detail is in the pages that are linked in the second half of the page.
Right.
And I spent my entire summer basically writing those. And then we shortened them down quite a bit at some point.
Right, okay. Well, this definitely will help.
And you weren't aware this existed.
No.
Okay, that's our bad. You see,
that was another thing I was mentioning in yesterday was that we don't I don't want to like say anything bad about you guys, but like we don't really I guess help our new members, if you know what, like, because I've seen a lot of times people will ask, hey, what do you need me to do, and we just kind of direct them to the GitHub, and then they kind of get
It's
lost.
gobbledygook to me.
Yeah. Robot wasn't even aware there was a GitHub until yesterday, actually.
I knew of like GitHub and that there was stuff about there, but I didn't know what was particularly on it or what I needed to look at.
I mean, when you went to the development forum for the first time, presumably you followed the link to the thing, the wiki page that's written in big letters. Read this.
Yeah.
And
not everything is obviously sunken in.
Maybe it's just too much at once.
Yeah, I mean that's an issue, but then how do we decide what's important and whatever? And I think we've got stuff that's in places of importance that's hopefully helpful, like the website's got the Get Involved page, and it's got links to that same wiki page in it if you want to go deeper. But are there any suggestions for what we should put on there instead? Or add to what's there?
Currently, not right now. I don't know what to think at the moment.
Have you suddenly found the GDD and you're now reading through it and overwhelmed by it all?
Well, that and I'm tired as fuck.
Okay. You see that that Psychon quote was from the original GDD, which Nimble wrote. And you remember I mentioned him a while ago as being the one who basically kick-started our current progress after the Reddit boom.
Mm.
So it's people like him who come along and change things quite dramatically and know what they're doing who are going to be the ones who help us, really. So maybe we should do make a similar point, like say everyone should read the GDD.
Everybody should read this, and it's just completely gone under the radar.
Yeah. Well, that's because I told people I did that. I told people to read it several times, and nobody freaking did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was talking about stuff that people didn't even know was going to be in the game. So
Yeah.
I
that
need to
annoyed
give
me a
it
bit.
another read. I haven't read it in like 4 years.
It shall be my Bible, and I will save it for
Okay.
one. I've got like a folder on Google, like got it all at one side ready.
Bear in mind, it hasn't been updated that recently. Although, come to think of
It's
it,
something to work on. It's something to work from,
I think,
which is
To-
always super helpful.
to be fair, the most recent update since then we haven't had that many changes of planned mechanics. So I think it should still be fairly accurate.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, this goes for all of you listening as well. Read the GDD. Because
It'll answer a lot of your questions.
it will answer many questions, it will make you hyped for some stuff, it will introduce you to some parts of the game you never even expected to be in there.
Right.
So it basically tells you that the cell stage is going to be a far more interesting stage than you expected.
Right.
At least I hope so.
Yes, I will get on this. This is why I need to know this shit.
Well, at least we found some conclusions from this so far. Make more concepts and tell people to read the GDD.
I think me and that dude need to just like make a list of the various things that we need to make and whatnot, and just get on with it.
Yeah, make concepts and stuff for the game and whatever.
I mean, it shouldn't be too difficult to produce. I know I was assigned to do the pilus or the pilus, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and I just haven't got around to it yet. But when it's all like written out and everything, it should be great. Oh, you already made one, right? Yeah. That's good.
I mean, the difficulty with that is that dude. That dude made several models for stuff.
Yeah,
And there were several. We've now got plenty of models, but none of them are in the game in any capacity.
right.
Which is a bit annoying since we can actually put models in the game, but we've got no one left who knows how. Or at least the people who know how don't consider it a high priority for themselves.
If only they could just leave behind the knowledge.
Yeah.
Just leave your brain with us. Just fucking stick it on a table.
Or, write it down.
No, that too.
Yes, just leaving your brain out on the table is probably not the best idea.
If I consume it, I will know everything.
That's not how the brain works.
Have
Or
you
is
tried
it?
eating a brain? Do you know?
Yeah, Atrox, we can hear you, dog.
Oh, crap. Okay.
Does it have any useful information for development? Does it have an opinion on how we should do things?
What, the brain?
No, the dog.
No, the dog, right.
What about the dog?
Does it have any suggestions on what we should do for development?
Oh,
Probably add more bones.
yeah. Add in that calcium organelle that was in. That was a bad joke. Never mind.
You see, that's in the GDD, and nobody knows it's there.
Yeah. You're gonna be able to build bones in the cell stage, guys.
Okay.
Well, not bones, just like
Calcium carbonate structures.
clumps of calcium that can float around and do stuff for you.
You could build a wall.
You could build a wall. Let's not go there.
Be the best
Bone
wall.
wall. That would be an intimidation tactic. Just a wall of bone-like structures just moving towards you, and they engulf you.
Bear in mind this is all happening at the scale of a cell, though. It's not particularly
Yes.
intimidating when it's a few nanometers across.
Not to us, but to the cell. Yes, dog noises. Give him barks.
The dog stopped barking.
Ooh.
We're making a joke. We're making a joke.
Well, no, this is a very serious conversation. There's no jokes
This-
allowed here.
For April Fools, all of the cells are replaced with dogs. Are people approving?
For anyone who's just joined, we were actually discussing serious stuff earlier.
Yes, we were. Well,
Then
you
my dog
guys
started
were.
barking.
Look, I'll mute myself for now. You carry on.
That's fine. You're
But
quite
I do
helpful.
need to eat. I haven't. I've got half a plate here.
You want to get involved in sound design? What? Tell me more. Anything else we could discuss?
I want to get involved in programming.
Do you have the time and the motivation?
Yes. Motivation's a little bit lacking, but I am steadily going through the tutorial.
Okay,
So,
that's going to help.
eventually, in a few years. God.
So Darwin's been learning piano. Cool. I'm a self-taught pianist, so I'm not familiar with piano courses. Well, when I say self-taught, my piano kind of taught me because it has lights on the keys and it tells you where to put your fingers at different points. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Piano teacher.
Oh, now that my music is on topic, everyone go buy my music.
Oh my god.
I've had 2 people buy it so far. I'm very happy.
Once I get an income, I'm going to be buying it. So, you just watch out for that extra money.
Right, there we go. That's my self-promotion over. I would not be able to live with myself if I did anymore. Right. Oliver's piano is a is a pop. Yes, it was. Anyway, back to development and what we should do for it. We've learnt that we want documentation for the engine, but adding that may be difficult and time-consuming. Well, not necessarily difficult, just time-consuming when it could be spent doing other stuff like actually building the engine. And then once we've done the engine, we can do another release, do more outreach and all that stuff. So, in that regard, we're still waiting on the engine. However, we have discovered that we can do other stuff. We can create concepts, concept art and concept ideas and talk about mechanics and stuff. And we also tell people to read the GDD. There we go. That's summarized what we've learned so far. All these people telling me my music is amazing. Like, put your money where your mouth is, boys. No, I'm joking. I don't care.
I'm calling you out.
I do a lot of reorganizing. Yeah, now this is a thing that's come up quite a lot, and it's talking about how we organize stuff and team leads and whatever. You know, all these people saying you.
What was that?
Sorry?
That
What?
was me
Who
this
is my
time.
team lead? Who is it? Who is it?
You're an artist, right?
Team lead?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Atrox, the art team lead.
Hi.
Hold on, it's on our website somewhere. I need
Wasn't
to go.
it the creator?
Yeah, it's the creator, but he hasn't been here for a while.
Ta-da!
Uh,
So that's why it was kind of like,
the creator has abandoned his creation, much like God. Anyway,
Oh,
let's not go there.
if you if you believe, just throwing the options out there.
Meanwhile, Nick is forever gone. He is not forever gone. He has turned up again recently, and in
He's
fact,
been online. I mean,
He
I did
messaged
send
me
him a
yesterday.
message yesterday.
he's been.
Yeah, we sent him messages.
But he's got a lot to comprehend if he wants to go back into his old role of organising stuff. So I think he can take his time.
Yeah. What else we got?
I mean, all this stuff about reorganising stuff, it's kind of a moot point to some extent, because unless we've got loads of people working on things, it doesn't really help. You know, we've got 2 programmers programming away, doing whatever they decide to do themselves. Excuse me.
Well, they're working on the engine, so they're busy as is.
Yeah, and then we've got a couple of people who are around a lot, like Monetizer and Atrox and whatever, who are sort of sorting out the community on the Discord, doing a good job with that.
Yeah.
Doing occasional art stuff, and then you've
Good
got
job, lads.
You've got people like me and Nick who used to do a lot more, but have a lot less free time these days, and either would like to help more and can't, or wouldn't really like to help more, but feel that they have to because things are still not going properly, which is basically
which one are you?
the latter. I'll be honest. I mean, I don't know. I want to see this succeed. I really do. I really like the idea. I really like the concept. I really like the GDD because I wrote it. But it's just like, I'm tired of going over the same problems over and over again and not really reaching any sort of conclusion. And it's why I decided to just out of the blue suggest on the forums one day that we start doing something with money. Because,
yes,
you know, maybe we need something drastic, and that's all I could see at that point. It's since been brought to my attention that things are still happening at a rate which could be okay, but people are still getting annoyed.
Yeah.
We had one of our community members publicly state that we have just lost a fan yesterday.
I did see that. I saw parts of that. I was currently in a Marvel movie marathon at the time, so I couldn't really engage with it much. Top tip, kids, don't stay up for 36 hours.
Yeah.
No, do it. It gives you superpowers.
And they make a film about you.
Naruto's why?
But as for that guy who said we'd lost a fan, I mean, what did you tell him to try and change his mind? If there was anyone there who was part of that conversation.
I think
I was not there.
I don't remember if I was. I barely remember anything though. So
I'm gonna guess not anything. We didn't tell him. Like,
What was he saying was the reason why?
I'm scrolling up to see.
Because I can't really leave this window of Discord, because if I do, I'll have to record it. I mean, I can cover the screen with a disturbance instead. Whoop.
He's basically
I heard that
asking,
worked.
like,
Yeah, that works. Whoop. There we go.
what was new? And when we told him nothing was particularly new, he said, "Oh, so the game's pretty much dead." And then he just said that he doubted it'll ever arrive.
Right. Well, there will always be people who take that approach to this game.
yeah.
There will always be people who say this isn't going to work, and that's happened all the time for us. I mean, when you put it like that, when he asks if there's anything that's been done, and we say nothing, then
Well,
it does.
we didn't say nothing. I think we did tell him that we were still working on porting over to the new engine, but I mean, I feel like people just don't get how big that actually is.
I feel like if we could also like show him this conversation, it would help him understand where we're coming from, because from his perspective, he's found a group of people who are ostensibly working on something, and yet are not.
Yeah.
Whereas from our perspective, we're wanting to work on something and trying to find reasons why we can't.
There was the suggestion the other day, while programmers are working away on the engine stuff, it is also a good idea to work on the next stage's stuff as well. But I don't know if that's really possible.
I mean, in the first few years that the project was around, that was what was happening. You know, people were creating concepts for everything and discussing everything, and honestly, not much of it was particularly feasible. I mean, if you go back and look at the old forum and look at the really old threads, you have people coming along saying, "Oh, why don't you add, I don't know, a molecular stage where you play as atoms?"
Well, that's just Tetris. That's pretty
so fun.
feasible.
That takes your gripes against the microbe stage to the extreme. But like at some point, I think it was Nick who basically spearheaded this. We just decided, we have to stop focusing on other stages and talking about ridiculous stuff and think about what we can add to the game now, by which we mean let's talk about the microbe stage, let's program the microbe stage. And that's what's allowed us to make several versions since. Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps it's what's led to the current bottleneck, but I think there are other problems. I think that's not the reason for that.
Oh, another thing that we had that may help with like people understanding I guess how big what we're trying to do actually is. Robot had suggested like weekly updates, and I know we've talked about that before, like in the form of like we go around the Slack and gather up every bit of conversation and then condense that and then sort of like post something about it on Twitter, right? That was the plan.
Yep.
What if we had like this kind of like bulletin board type thing where like the devs themselves would post what they've done?
That's the development forums.
Okay, all right.
That's what they're supposed to be for, and what people haven't been using them for, and what I've been getting very angry about people not using them for.
I can hear that in your voice. Yeah.
Sorry, I've
been
trying for so many years.
Do we have? Most people go on the. Oh, God, I can't talk. That bot that we have here on the Discord that posts all the stuff from the dev forums.
Yep.
Nobody really checks, I think. Sorry.
It's fine. I'm used to it.
What if we did something like that for the community forums themselves, and it would start? Maybe we'd have like a whole thread of just like, hey, this is, or maybe we could have it posted up in that that little bar up at the top that has like the scrolling boards. I don't know, just something that's there, easily accessible, so people don't actually have to go digging around.
We had that idea, and we implemented it, and it's currently on the front page of the website if you care to check.
Jesus Christ, seriously?
Yes. Right below the trailer and the preamble about what it's about and the download button, you've got
the website,
latest news and the latest development forum posts in a feed there. It's on the website.
Oh, wow.
The community forums might be a bit more tricky because they're nowhere near as customizable. And this was why hhyyrylainen was trying to convince us all to switch.
What if like, see, here's the thing. I think a lot of this is that we just have a bunch of separate areas over the internet. Like the forums and the website are two separate like entities.
It's not all in one place.
Exactly. If people had to go to the website first to get to the forums, everyone would see all that new stuff first.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well,
not like
we've tried
much
to
can be done.
minimize that effect by like having links to all the websites and forums on all the websites and forums.
Yeah, but who clicks links?
Exactly, but
Clearly not me.
wait, I'm an admin here. Can I like tag you as a person who hasn't read the GDD?
Robot, aka piece of shit.
No, it's fine.
Naratizer, you heard the man. Get on that roll.
Wait, I can do that. I can change my nickname. See? Yeah.
Well, it won't actually show up in the thing I'm recording unless you type something.
Yeah,
in the
but at
box.
least you know who I am.
That I know who you are. So yeah, should we like put everything on the same website? Have people go.
Having it all in one place is extremely useful, helpful. You know.
I think I tried suggesting that at one point. It was when we were trying to move forums somewhere.
And it didn't happen.
Yeah, well,
Did you just get ignored, or what happened?
our main website is built on WordPress,
Mm-hmm.
and if we wanted to do anything that was like on that main website, like there was a header link there, and you clicked that link, and it sent you to a forum that was in the style of the existing website.
Yeah.
Then either it would have to be programmed, I don't know, probably using JavaScript or something, within a box on there, and that would take time away from the programmers working on other stuff. Or there are plugins that do that.
I feel like by this point, either way, anything that we do is going to take away from something else. I think we should just do something, and either way, it's gonna take away time from it. So we should do something before it gets worse, and that time that's taken away is even worse. Like.
Well, for the programmers, yes, that's very true. For the rest of us, we're not really doing much. I mean, Narratizer has complained in the past about how he's got nothing to work on. Not that I'm saying he can build a website for us, but...
Build a website.
Build a website, my slave.
Do it now.
No, I can't remember why we didn't want to have a forum on the website.
Was it because you wanted to keep like the development and like community thing separate?
Well, that was one of the requirements for doing it, and that I think we could have worked around that by like having two separate forums somewhere. But there was some reason. I think it was like the plugins themselves had issues that meant that well, I mean, they worked perfectly well as forums, but they were like they didn't suit our needs or something. What's wrong with the current website? Nothing about the website itself, just the fact that all the websites and forums aren't in the same place is apparently an issue.
It's like there's a lot of information on the main website, but nobody really goes to the main website. Most people just go to the forums or the Discord.
Well,
it's all about streamlining. It's kind of the main point.
I disagree with that. I think nobody who is familiar with the game goes to the website. Everybody who is unfamiliar with the game goes to the website. So it's obviously it's set up to be a place for like, hey, this is our game, we're introducing you to it, and it's going to be difficult to convert it into a place that's completely different, that's sort of for other people to use, for people familiar with the game. Because if you have to go to a place to even like the front page, it's got all the preamble about what Thrive is. Everyone who knows what Thrive is knows that. But I don't know, if you're suggesting you have to go through all that to get to all the stuff that people would use more regularly, then I don't think that's a good idea.
No, that's not what I'm suggesting. What I mean is, like, where's the website? Okay, here it is. like we have the trailer and we have that intro thing, and that's great and all. Personally, I feel like maybe on the front page, instead of trying to sell ourselves right from the start, maybe we should just, show people, hey, we are live and we are doing things.
Well, that's
And then if they get more interested like that, they can go. And
That's
I mean,
that's
I know
exactly
it's- I
what
know
we're
it's
doing.
Right there on the front page. I know it's right there on the front page, but this is going to sound really stupid, but you got to scroll down to read it all.
Yes, I agree. That's
And
you would be surprised at how annoyed people can get about scrolling places. I remember when I was asking for suggestions for what to do for the website a while ago, someone posted a very, very angry rant about how there was no button to click that could take you back to the top. I don't understand why, but I've added one now, and nobody has said anything about it since.
oh, so you have.
Yeah, see, it's there. Nobody even
You
cares,
listen
except
to our
that one
community,
guy.
Unlike some people.
It's all about convenience.
Yeah! Oh. See, this is just another example of making stuff for the game that you think will be useful, you're told will be useful, and yet turns out to be useless. Like the GDD. You can't see my face now, but I'm sad.
Cue facepalm.
Hold on, I will give an impression of myself. There we go, that's my face.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're suggesting we change the website, then that's going to take quite a bit of time. Not time taken away from the programmers.
I'm not suggesting it outright. I'm just saying, like, I'm just putting it out there that could be a reason. I don't know for sure, but that could be.
I mean, I've done several like surveys of people's opinions on stuff on our outreach and stuff before, and they've come up with like small suggestions about move this here, move that there, and I've done them, but no one's ever said anything that's really had a massive impact. So I don't know.
This is such a weird situation we're in.
Oh yeah, but I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of telling people, "Hey, we're not dead because of this, this, and this."
Yeah.
Because we aren't doing enough to prove to them that we're not dead.
Maybe
think
just we just got really unlucky, and we just got the people that are gonna see what they want to see. Maybe we're just really unlucky.
Maybe we just need to do shit.
That's the solution. It's how
Just
we
need to do things.
It's how we do that. That's the
Yeah.
question that we're trying to solve here, apparently.
Yeah.
And that we've been trying to solve here for now over 2 hours. We require to construct additional codes. Yes, we do. Yes,
Let
we do.
us turn to the community. Someone give us a solution. We don't know what we're doing. Please help.
Give us a solution and we'll tell you why it's wrong.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be all what I've been doing every time this has come up.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
that's the best
hamsters.
suggestion in the world.
Hamsters, yes, clearly. It'll
Can you
solve
find
all
anything wrong with that, Oliver?
Let me think. I mean, they run around in wheels that don't go anywhere more than we do, so...
I don't know, it seems pretty cyclical.
But listen.
Yeah.
We,
Yeah.
okay, but here, what if we attach keyboards on the wheels? Do you realize how many words per minute they could probably type?
Now we're getting it into a typewriter, a room full of monkeys with typewriter situation. You're just
We
expecting
have
them.
infinite monkeys now, apparently.
We have infinite hamsters on infinite wheels that will create the game somehow.
Oh yeah, someone
Only slightly more unrealistic than actually creating the game. Yeah. Okay, prototypes of other stages. We've got those.
We do.
No,
We do?
we're very bad about promoting them. They're not really prototypes that people think of when we say prototypes, but I will put a link
Is it
here.
that behavioral editor from like way back in the day?
I mean, that counts, but we've got far more recent and far more interesting stuff that I've just posted a link to there. And
Oh my god.
there you go.
Oh yeah, this is the thing.
This is actually surprising me how many we've got. But all of these are prototypes made by programmers or theorists or stuff to test their own systems. And most of those aren't related to the current game at all. So
How do I open them?
Dunno.
Does anybody know what to do with these things?
There's one called Skeletor. That's nice.
That's cool.
Skeleton.
Let's check out Skeletor. I have no idea what I'm doing with it. Back.
Oh, that's you need Python to run it anyway.
Oh crap.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
I
say you need Python. That probably sounded ridiculously like. Oh, I've probably sounded ridiculously naive there. That's like saying, "Oh, you need C++ to run it."
I don't have a snake, but will a lizard work?
Ugh.
I mean, I have cats. Can I run it on cats?
Now we're getting back to hamsters on wheels again. No.
Yeah, exactly. Again, we're going back to cyclical shit. Come on.
Damn it. We keep going in circles into things that relate to circles.
Wheels.
It's all connected.
Yes. Gonna freeze myself for 500 years, and when I emerge, Thrive will be 53% done.
I'd be cool with playing it at 53%, honestly.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I once wrote a book about the far future, and as an Easter egg, I put that someone goes along and say, "Hey, there's this game called Thrive." Oh, it's still in beta. So yeah. But 53% done would be quite impressive. I mean, that's 3.5 stages, mate. It's quite a lot.
The only 3 I care about.
Well, hopefully by that point there'll be enough people around to care about them even more. So
Maybe more people will know about this game.
yeah, and more people will know, and more people will have faith.
Hey guys, I just made some concept art for a creature I'm gonna make.
I love it.
Post that on the forums. No, don't.
I will.
Perhaps we could like a competition for concepts. Isn't that what
It's the later discussion that worries me.
That's what the forums are already, aren't they? Like competition for concepts.
Is that what they are? I thought they were a place for the community to engage in discussion and, connect.
That's what it's supposed to be. What it actually is forum games and forum games.
Forum games.
Will Thrive have underwater civilizations? No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Just not
Mayhaps.
advanced ones.
No, we're not having another underwater civilizations curse video.
Okay, here's the final say on. There will be underwater civilizations. They will not be advanced. End of story. No more questions. Get out.
How about there will be underwater civilizations, but you can't play as them?
Only that's
That'd be great.
that's the secret death build, guys.
Oh, that would be. Oh, I love that troll.
I would actually do that.
And if you want us to work on it,
Oh, you want it
That's
so
DLC.
badly.
DLC.
DLC.
The ultimate. Yes. Okay.
Fucking
You can buy loot crates, and with each loot crate, you'll unlock an extra bit. Okay, I don't know. What I was going
You'll unlock another part with each
Yes,
loot box.
There we go.
1/10 of the pieces necessary for underwater civilization. Each for $55.99.
You will unlock 1 gill.
The
Somebody-
loot boxes do not give you a new part. They give you something to unlock the new part.
Somebody write this. Somebody write this all down. We need to make this an April Fool's joke one time.
Oh,
No. What we need is an April Fool's box where you open it and it's just like a pile of salt.
I mean, that's not Thrive specific.
No, it's a wheel. It's a wheel.
yes.
It's a hamster wheel covered in salt. There we go.
Why the salt? I don't.
Because this is salty as fuck.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now you get it.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play
God,
this.
I love this.
Yeah, I'm hip with the kids. Am I right, fellow children?
You said that in such a whimsical voice, alongside me starting the video with all that amazing whimsical music. It was great.
But wait, what if
I
they
mean,
could use
oh, yeah,
the
I was gonna
hydrogenic
full on
events
mass
to
murder
melt
for
the
you,
melt?
but I don't think anyone wants that.
You do voices?
Yeah.
He's
I
a
have
magical
told you
voice,
this
man.
like hundreds of times, Atrox.
I had no idea.
Dude, I was your DM once.
Really? I don't remember that.
He's actually all of us.
You know, with
shit.
the snake, remember? You know,
Nope.
you
Nope.
snake.
I don't remember the snake at all.
You ranger. With
Okay,
the cat.
okay.
I'm messing with you, dude.
Let's rein it back in. Let's rein it
Alright.
back in. Because we're going way off track.
I think we do need to stop at some
Ain't
point
got no
soon.
brakes.
Hey, I'm the only one who's been going the whole way through here. I'm so tired. Yeah,
Do we have a plan?
plan. Well, we've got some interesting conclusions from today that can be implemented. Basically,
Read up, do shit.
make concepts,
That's
read the GDD, promote the GDD, cry.
I can make posters and post them around my neighborhood.
We all know how that went. No, don't do that.
Oh, does Robot though? I'm gonna show him. Needs to see.
Prepare to be amazed.
Oh,
I made posters and I posted them all over my neighborhood.
Post one of them in the chat here.
God, I don't even have the pictures.
Should
have
I
to
be
go find them in the
happy?
forums.
Should I be concerned?
He used a very unconventional marketing tactic.
I'll show it to
You
you.
buy the game. Oh, we got a radical idea here.
Oh, God, I gotta log into the forums.
It's not a podcast. It's a dev chat.
I mean, it's being recorded and will probably be uploaded somewhere, so I guess it's a podcast.
Unofficial podcast.
I wasn't going to make this like the next podcast, but I guess I can. Unless I make it like podcast 4.5 or whatever we're on now. But yeah. We've got more podcasts and releases.
That's not true.
No, that's not actually true. That's just basing on the numbers themselves.
Yeah.
Wait. We'll wait for Atrox to return with his marketing.
Magical posters.
I'm having troubles logging into the actual forums for some reason.
Oh dear.
Someone else had that issue the other day. What's it doing?
I don't know.
It's the bears.
I think we need the Bear Patrol.
Bear Patrol!
I'm out of the loop on this. What?
Okay, we made a new. If you notice on the sidebar, Grom has a Bear Patrol role. The last time that the forums went down, you know how when the forums go down, there's like a blue bear attacking like a computer or something like that.
Yeah.
We need the Bear Patrol to take care of the bear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why not just a bear trap?
Because Bear Patrol is cooler, Oliver.
Okay.
That dude, remember?
There we go. There it is. Someone kill it.
It's all cyclical.
It's all connected.
Okay. Oh, I'm logged in. Sweet. Let me see if I can find my posters.
Yeah. I feel like when people watch this conversation back, they're going to be impressed at first and feel like, "Hey, this is all serious conversation. This is all. I'm good. I've got so much faith in this project." And then it slowly
fucked
gets
everything
worse
up.
and worse.
Yeah. I'm sorry. This is what
Reality set
happens when I'm around. I
Here's
fuck things up.
here's my poster, robot. It's uploading.
Okay.
This is only one of my posters.
Hold on. Wait.
Oh.
Damn it. I wanted to find a drum roll and play it, but
Oh.
no.
I can't even read it, but it's funny.
Okay, for the people watching this video back, there is currently a drum roll playing. Oh god, it's 53 seconds long. No.
Here, let me.
Why not a
zoom it in
10-hour
for you.
version?
Probably exists.
Let's kick the people who aren't Thrive fans.
There you go.
Ah,
Now you can
okay.
read it.
Want you to join our team to make the best game ever made.
You see,
the history of
the reason why we couldn't endorse this is, well, I think people can see for themselves there's a particular symbol.
Oh, I totally didn't see that. Shit.
It's
That's a
subliminal
bit of a
messaging.
problem, mate.
Yeah, that's no. I'm sorry.
No, listen, guys. Spore is.
Yeah, no.
It's still not. It's not good.
No.
Not a good decision. It's not a good decision.
Let's move on.
No.
Try-
Yeah.
But hold on,
Yeah.
wasn't there also? Wasn't there?
Yeah,
also...
I'm getting my shovel and burying Atrox in the yard. I'll be back in a minute.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Am I gonna be? Maybe I shouldn't have shown those posters.
I don't know what to say now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, okay. Here's the fun.
Nazi
here's the-
paraphernalia
can't-
is not allowed, mate.
I did this
Banned.
years ago. I thought it was a good idea at the time. I have grown since then.
Here comes
Be honest.
the hammer.
Did you ever really think it was a good idea? I can't speak anymore.
Okay, and now I'm gonna be completely honest. Those aren't real posters. It was one sheet of paper that I just stuck around, and then I took it off immediately afterwards.
Thank God. We have enough bad press as is.
Yeah.
We have press.
It's right there.
I mean,
in the
well, actually, if we're speaking in technicalities, we do have precisely one proper game article written about us.
Naturally.
and then they said we were Sport 2.
Yeah. Hold on. It is there.
Kill screen.
Oliver, wasn't there like a spike in activity after my posters?
Yeah, but correlation does not imply causation.
Okay, whatever you say.
Game that Spore was supposed to be.
Yeah.
That hasn't reflected well.
Yeah. Comparisons rarely do.
There's another thing. Subreddit of the day. Hold on, let me find this. Congratulations, R-Thrive, you are subreddit of the day. Unfortunately, this was a post submitted not by one of the developers, but by a fan. And the fan he definitely phrased it in terms of, it's the next Spore.
Uh-huh.
And that, I don't know. I mean, the
This is
title.
what happens when things get let out of hand without a PR department.
I had to step in to make sure the title of this post wasn't Spore 2 or something along those lines. Instead, it's now the open source scientifically focused evolution game, which much better represents us.
Yeah.
But, I mean, thank you very much to this fan for contacting Subreddit of the Day and organising this. But
You could have phrased it a little
please.
better.
yeah,
Let us know beforehand.
Yeah.
Just in case.
We don't want to turn into the next No Man's Sky. I'd rather not.
You can be anything you want to be. Fucking yeah.
It's gonna have this, and this. Oh wait, that's not on the list. Oh no, I've already said it.
She.
Oops.
Mm.
And that's what happens when you let your team lead fly off the handle when he's not in contact with the devs a whole bunch.
Well, we don't have that problem.
Yeah.
We just have many other problems.
Yep. We have 99 problems, but thankfully that's not one of them.
We have a little less than 99, I think.
So don't say that. And if you say that, working out how many problems we have will be another problem.
How many of
That's
those
a problem
problems are coding
always.
this?
Anyone got a TLDR of the productive part of the meeting? Make
Everything is cyclical. We have to do shit.
hamsters on wheels.
Yeah.
No. We've decided that making concept art and concept discussions and stuff isn't as bad an idea as we thought it was, and is probably a good thing to do to create more activity in the sense of activity and stuff. We've also found out that people don't read the GDD, and so we're going to tell people to read the GDD, and you should all read the GDD. And
Read the GDD.
And when I upload this video,
tell them to read it.
When I upload the video, I'm going to make the top link read the GDD.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say GDD over and over again. And it's going to...
If you edit the video,
Yeah.
you should have like the word GDD appear in really big letters every time the word GDD is said.
I would love to, but I don't have the time.
Oh.
There we go. I fixed my username. Fixed my username.
And there was something else. I can't even remember. Oh yeah, engine documentation stuff. Programming stuff is still going to have to wait until the engine is complete. And I've noticed that hhyyrylainen has left now, so clearly...
Yes, he left a while ago, I think.
Yeah. Says a lot. Says a lot about...
It's the effect we have on people.
Yeah. Basically...
he did stick around for quite a while yesterday, so...
But it wasn't a podcast that will be uploaded yesterday.
I know.
But anyway.
I know, it was an impromptu thing.
Yeah. It was one guy saying, hey, you're not making a game here. And then everything spiraled out of control and I couldn't really do anything because I was tired as hell.
Yeah.
Okay, so besides the development forums and the GitHub, is there any form of tracking in place? We have... Well, there's GitHub and there's multiple parts of the GitHub. There's one for the programming. There's also one for the organisation, which unfortunately isn't as publicised, and I honestly think it's not as useful because it's all
organisation.
You have to go into the issues page to look at everything, and well, the dealing of issues themselves is good. Like you can assign people to stuff, and you can assign tags to stuff, and whatever. It's I don't know. It's still hidden behind quite a lot. You have to go to several pages to find it, and I don't know. I feel like its role is taken up a lot more by the other stuff we have, and adding another website full of Thrive conversation to the mix may not be the best idea. But this was all done like in September, and it was Nick's idea, and I still think he had a point. And he did a lot to help with it. He was the main driver behind that, but then of course he left for a while and it went into a bit of disrepair. So answer Mindgamer's question, goddammit. Well, who's Mindgamer? All I can see is that dude.
Yeah, he's that dude.
Yeah.
You know, that guy. That dude right there.
I'm going to answer it now, if I can find it. Notice my plea for an organism editor prototype before it is drowned in text from Elrod spam. I mean, that's an idea, but once again, it's that the programmers will that it happens, and they're currently working on other stuff. So, unless you want an organism editor programmed, I don't know, in Scratch, which I could do, it might be quite difficult. I could make a concept animation for it, because I did that for the cell editor, but unfortunately that wasn't very good and it took a long time, and I don't have the time to do that anymore. So yeah, fair idea, but unfortunately not really feasible. Oh, apparently I've been requested to answer some information on music. I will...
Concept ideas.
Hold on.
I don't know, man.
I've got this set up so it's recording all the audio coming out of my PC, so if I play that, it will record that as well.
Yeah. Have it the outro.
I don't know. I'll listen to it later. I'll keep it up and listen to it later and get back to you. I don't want to have like a copyright strike on the video or anything.
Yeah.
Because obviously,
I like it. It sounds really
I know,
cool.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Darwin, it sounds really cool.
There you go, you've got some feedback on it. Either that, or I could play it during the podcast, or I could mute all of you at the same time and play that and then get back to you. So
I am willing to be muted.
if you all want to be muted for a while I mute my computer's entire audio, then sure. I'll be back. Say whatever you want. It won't be recorded. Except it.
Ah, right.
Okay.
Cool.
Actually, no, spam the text chat because that will still be recorded. But anyway.
You said
The real thrive was the friends we made along the way. For people watching the video back, that will make no sense because they heard none of what you were saying just then. Anyway, I've just listened. Right, now you're being recorded again. Be nice.
Yes, we know.
hi, people.
They're all slagging you off while you were gone. No. Yeah, basically, Darwin. It's nice. It's very nice. I like it. It works. It's got some nice chords.
It's better than Oliver.
Yeah, I'm out of a job now. You're now Thrive Safe Musician.
Perfect. Wait, why not have two musicians?
2 Olivers.
2 Olivers.
Oh dear.
Darwin, you have to change your name to Oliver now.
You're now Darwin Oliver. There you go. I dub thee in my local library. There we go. It's sorted.
But yes. Nice song. Well done.
Good job.
I'm sorry, I can't like tell people they've done good work without feeling insincere about it, but no, it's good. Yeah.
Are we done, or is there still to discuss?
I mean, this recording is now 2.5 hours long. I don't know how much more we can go.
Let's make it 24 hours. Raise awareness for Thrive.
I'm not going to be here for 24 hours.
Me neither.
I will.
I don't think anybody's watching.
I'll turn it into a live. My first Let's Play. No, not really.
Do I have chances of joining with that song? I mean, the issue is all the music that we have is made digitally. So you'd have to have knowledge with some sort of digital music software and demonstrability to create stuff that's good with it. So
what if we remastered all the songs, but like with actual instruments?
we could do, but
Fuck it.
Let's hire an orchestra, guys.
if only. It's on my bucket list. One day I want an orchestra to play one of my compositions. Can't you just play the piano? If you can get a really good recording of it, then okay, but that's not going to happen on microphones that you can buy yourself for less than several £100 and a keyboard that you buy yourself for less than several £100. Music is expensive, man.
Yeah.
I know very well.
Make sheet music.
Yeah, that's the only real possibility, is just like make the sheet music of it and give it to someone who can make it. So, is there actually someone in charge of project management? So many fillers in that sentence. Yeah, it's Nick, but he's not been around for a while for his own personal reasons. So.
Because you're the main speaker, it's you.
I mean,
you're the new project manager.
This suggestion came up recently as well, that I should take over the project management roles and stuff. And I mean, there are two.
You're a temp. You're a temp.
I'm the de facto team lead.
Indefinite temp.
I mean, I'm only doing this. I'm only doing this podcast now and organising all this stuff because I have time for it. As of Monday, I probably won't. I will still have time to read everything and pop in and discuss some stuff. But I don't know.
I'll be the development team lead.
I mean, you do seem to be around a lot.
Yeah. I like telling people what to do.
Focus all efforts on underwater saves. Do that.
You see that? That's my fear. Like, if I were to abandon the project completely, I'm afraid that if I went away and then came back, it would have changed beyond what I recognise. So, you know, maybe people would start making underwater civilizations the whole time.
But yeah. Oh, 2 buts there.
I mean, colossal or colossal.
Colossal.
If you want, we could definitely use that. If you understand how the project currently works and make it clear how your idea of the project could work, and you get people to play along with it, then that would be very useful. We'd be very happy to have that.
Oh wow.
We might actually get a developer out of this podcast.
It's a miracle. Jesus Christ.
I'm actually getting really hungry now. I think we need to stop.
Yes, we should end it now. Or within like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Will we upload this video to the dev forums with a summary? I'm going to upload it to the Revolutionary Games channel as the next podcast, because apparently it's turned into that. Yeah. As for a summary, someone would have to watch it back and find the things. But if we're talking about,
they have to anyway. So
if we're
you won't get it. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Well, if we're talking about like the summary points I've been saying all along, then yeah, we'll go with those. I'll feed that back to the other developers on Slack.
Yeah, let's use Slack some more.
Well, that's what we're supposed to do.
Yes.
As developers.
I fully understand that. That's why I check it.
Good, because some people don't. Atrox.
Can somebody give me a link to it? Because I have not checked that in a while.
Check it, boy. Check it.
I think I need a link for it again. Oliver, could you PM me a link?
Okay. I can't really do that now because I'd have to change the screen to your private things.
So after the fact.
Do we have
yes.
Embarrassing in private messages?
Probably not. I could cover the screen with a disturbance instead. There we go. It's covered in a disturbance.
We can't show them our secrets now. Our secret conversations.
Whispering sweet nothings.
Do we even have anything? I don't know.
Oh wait, we do. Some in community drama.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So that seems to be that's the tagline of the Discord, really. Yes,
We thrive on in-community drama.
Just send it to me after we're finished here, then.
Well, I can do it now, assuming this is the link you want.
Right. I'm gonna go now. Because
Okay.
we'll just end up keep going on and on.
Yeah, I feel like we've come to an end here. We've got some productive things out of it, including potentially a new developer, which is always nice.
Yeah. Get
Please
everybody
message
on
me.
this. That's one way to end it.
Okay.
If there's anybody else in the community who wants to help out, it is incredibly helpful. If you do, please do help us. Yeah.
Yeah, closing
Please.
closing statements. If you wish to help out, please do. We are in dire need of it. As the last 2.75 hours will have told you.
Yes, help us.
This is an interesting point from Narratizer. This was quite enjoyable. I feel somewhat hyped again. Maybe we should do more of these then.
Yeah.
Maybe this is
Wasn't
helpful.
that the plan, and then we just never did?
Well, we did it, but it ended up just being me and Surrogate every time, and we just went over the same points every time, and we felt it was a bit strange, so we stopped suggesting them regularly.
Right.
So,
I'm gonna leave properly now and not stick around for 5 minutes.
okay. For all the people who can't see, his name is
later.
His username is now Read the GDD Robot. So goodbye, Read the GDD.
GDD. Read it.
Goodbye.
Read it now.
I kicked him. He's gone.
Okay. Oh, I think people may have just started arriving.
Oh no.
Yeah, basically this week has been like university vacation holidays stuff, and people have been away, so it's been like 2 people in my flat. But I've just heard someone's voice outside, so I may have to tend to that and say hi to
that's what
people.
you meant.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
Then I'll see you next week. Well,
Okay,
won't see you, but I'll hear you.
well, maybe we could do more of this at some point. It's
Yeah,
only whether my
whatever.
flatmates will overhear me and think I'm a bit weird. But I think we can finish off now. So yeah.
It's been nice.
Do all the stuff, everybody. Oh, I've just realised I've had the disturbance up on the screen the whole time.
Oh, well.
So we definitely need more of this. We'll do more of it. We'll do more stuff. We'll read the GDD. Thanks for listening, watching, sharing our emotions, and we'll see you all next time.